right, Happy New Year, and New Year brings new toys. I was on the first. I was out and about today. Had to call a couple different targets, but I found the Siege leaders. So Shockwave and Ultra Magnus are in hand, and they're actually pretty good. Ultra Magnus, I think, is my favorite of the two, but Shockwave. My issues with Shockwave are not really the figure itself so much as just the scale of it, I think. Although, I don't know. I do like... Now, here he is in his spaceship mode. His combined everything on him spaceship mode. Which is kind of, as many people have said, a gun turned upside down. And you can kind of get a decent gun mode out of him. With all the stuff on, if you fold these little fins up and hold him. But he's a little small for it. And with all the stuff on him, looks a little weird. It looks better in ship mode with all the stuff attached. And I do dig him as a space cruiser. He's got the little open cannon on the front. He's even got a little light piped. Look at that. The light piping on him is actually really good. A little light piped cycloptic eye there. Kind of looks like his head there on the top of the tower there in spaceship mode. So yeah, like I said, it's changing him a lot. I know we all want him to be a space laser. I don't know why space laser guns, especially big purple space laser guns, are such a no-no. These are like teal and gray space laser guns, like Six Shot couldn't be. You know, he had the submarine mode, and here we have the space submarine mode. But yeah, for changing it up, it is kind of a nice little spaceship. I dig it, especially like I said, I love that little. Like the fact that they light piped this eye up here is kind of neat. The wings here, you could set them straight out to the side. They do angle, so if you want to angle them up a little bit, I just feel like with these angled down and this straight out to the side is a nice third option for the wings there on the back of him. But however you want to do it. But there he is, all armored up as a spaceship. To transform him, you take all of his extra armor bits off. So you untab these bits right here, and then they peg in up here as well, but just kind of unhinge this piece and bring this whole assembly off. The feet pieces come off, the extra arm pieces come off, just like so. You can pull them off as however you want to pull them off, but all those pieces come off, and you're left with the base Shockwave. And again, there's his landing gear in spaceship mode. You can fold that up into there. You can fold up his fins, and then he's kind of a space laser mode. He's still got the squarish blaster emitter, but he's very small. And with the way the tube's attached up here, and then he has a little peg that you can move around. You can kind of stretch it to fit back here. It's just long enough to plug in back here, but there really is the handle really is not long enough to hold it. You can pretend he's a space laser if you want, but it's a little difficult just due to his size. He's much smaller than I would have expected. And Ultra Magnus at least feels leaderish, despite the fact that his core robot is Voyager, very much Voyager-sized. Shockwave is just tiny. And it kind of... I feel like they just added bits to Shockwave for the sake of making him a leader, and I would have much rather, I think, had just a good, solid Voyager Soundwave, or Shockwave. But hey, I don't know how they make those decisions there. Because, like I said, the extra stuff in vehicle mode, very cool. I like the spaceship. In robot mode, I really don't care for a lot of the extra stuff unless you do the sled, which is not in the instructions, but we'll get to that. But here he is in his space mode. Again, you can kind of, if you unpeg this, you can stretch it up to this peg right here, but like it is literally at the very, very end of that. And I wouldn't want to do that too often because you could end up wearing it out of there or down here where it's pegged through. So you can attach it to the barrel. Can you get it to the top here? I guess it fits onto the top a little better, but even then that looks a little odd. Unfortunately, where it pegs into his arm, you can't access because it's covered up by this. But anyway, there he is in his gun mode. So unpeg that so it hangs off to the side here. The legs are actually kind of neat. Lift up this handle / tower piece. Make sure these are folded up. Split the legs, and he kind of does a Combiner Wars leg extension here. Like that. And then you just fold this piece down, and then fold it in and around. There's a tab here that's going to lock into place, but that just folds up into his leg to fill in his leg. like I said, they're remarkably solid. Even though like there is some hollow bit in there that's for the transformation, they don't have those big hollow open spots as much as some of the previous lines did. So then just turn his legs around, and he's got a little bit of forward and back here on his feet, but it's mostly just side to side ankle. Actually, it doesn't have any. It's just side to side ankle tilt on him. So there's his legs. He's pretty much done at this point, in the lower half at any rate. Come up here to the top. And then again, this piece right here, you open up this thing. There's his arms. Very similar to the Masterpiece with this armature that holds this front piece on. But you just fold his arms out. And then this piece, close this back up. Make sure that stays up. And then you just bring this whole armature down onto his back and plug it in. Bring his arms down. Rotate them to be facing forward. And you'll know they're facing forward if the Decepticon logos on his forearms are visible. And then this, you can plug it into the side here if you want, but it comes plugged into the back of his arm like that. So however you want to do it, but attach his hose to his arm there. Flip his chest forward, flip up his head, fold it up. And he also has a very, it's pretty amazing just how bright that eye gets under direct light. And there is the base Shockwave figure. He's got, actually got a ball jointed head so he can kind of wiggle around. He can tilt his head side to side, look up and down, rotate. Oh, it's not pegged all the way in there yet. There we go. Forward and back, up and down. Extra shoulder joint here for transformation. Bicep swivel. Hinge elbows. He does have a wrist swivel. Here, his hand is closed. He has a waist swivel, which is nice. Ratcheting hips forward and back, hinge side to side. Bi swivel, ratcheting knees, and then just that side tilt on the feet. So not a whole lot of forward and back in his feet, unfortunately. But you can get him in some decent poses. Just to compare him right now, here he is with Megatron. And you can see Megatron as a Voyager is much larger than Shockwave. And he doesn't get a whole lot bigger with all of his extra stuff. So when you talk about you're charging an extra $20 for this, I know it comes down to parts count and plastic and all that stuff, but it just doesn't feel worth the upcharge. Like Ultra Magnus kind of does. Shockwave, he's a neat Shockwave. I do wish he were not quite as dark purple on most of him. And I do like his spaceship mode, but he just has a little bit of a wimpy stature for a leader class. We can improve that a little bit with the extra parts. Now, before we armor him all up, a lot of pictures show him with his little sled that he can ride around on, and that is not actually shown how to make that in the instructions. So we'll go ahead and fold these gun arms down. Actually, you know what? Yeah, this way. Hold on. We can actually fold these down. I guess tap them together like this. But how this works is you take the feet, and you can leave this folded down to the side, you can fold it straight up. I like to fold it in for this mode. And then you see there's pegs right here. So you take this outer peg and peg this in onto here so the two barrels kind of line up right inside here. And there's a tab. These are going to tab together as well once we get this all done. So tab him together. And then tab the feet together. There's the core of the sled. And then you can take these pieces and peg them onto the side here. And then he's got a little flying sled here that he can float around on. It's like I said, it's on the box, and we've seen official pictures of it, but it is not in the instructions. And then he's got the two tabs here. You can tab either one or both feet on. You can tab one in if you want to have him kind of in more of a surfing pose, angled forward. Go on, get on there. The size of his feet causes some issues there. Turn his head, and now he's flying around on his little sky sled. And that's kind of a neat little bonus mode. Like Shockwave and his Shock Drone, I dig as a pair. Again, doesn't quite justify the leader price, I don't think, but certainly goes a long way towards that than just Shockwave by himself. To have his little drone surveillance thing. I kind of dig this sled. All However, you take the sled apart, pop these up. Now, officially, he comes with, and the instructions show him in combined mode with the fins going up. It does kind of help these look like more integrated with his legs and feet, so we'll go ahead and take those fins and flop them up like that. So basically, you take this assembly, fold these gun pieces flat here, and you're just going to fit it right over this just like it was in battleship mode. You just kind of fit it over there. You have to wrestle around the hose a little bit, but get that on there and then peg it into the sides like that. And then these just kind of, these rotate. You can kind of flip them around. I guess if you wanted to have some guns facing somewhere, but just kind of pose these however. There's no real official way to angle them in the instructions, so it's really kind of just up to you. So there's this whole backpack. You take the feet pieces with the fin on the outside and just plug them into his feet. And then you take the arm pieces, fold them down, rotate them so the elbow's facing forward. And then with the silver part, there's a bright silver part and then kind of a burnished black piece on the back. There's a peg right here inside here that just pegs into the end of the arm. You just slide it over, peg it in, and give him some extra armor / gun arms. Which, again, I'd much rather configure them as his little like hover sled or / drone, because this just, I like Shockwave. Like I said, the base figure, the design-wise, visually, I think looks like Shockwave. It's just, at a leader class price point, this doesn't strike me as Shockwave. I know that some people are being like, well, you know, Shockwave would design something like that. Maybe he would. It's just not wowing me all armored up as a Shockwave figure. So I'll probably display him as just plain old Shockwave with the drone or in spaceship mode. And again, just to compare how much quote-unquote larger he gets, there he is with Megatron. And again, even then, he's a little bulkier, but not really any bigger. So he just doesn't, he's neat. If you're a Shockwave fan, he's a fun toy. And then there is a lot of fun to him. I don't know if he's quite up to justifiably $50. That's my opinion. You might get him and love him and think he's great. He is fun. I just of the two leaders that are out, Ultra Magnus I think is far worth the money. But there he is, Siege Leader Class Shockwave. He's quite fun. Here he is, just for fun. Here he is with his previous mainline release. At least I know he's been in the Cyberverse and stuff. I should have grabbed the Cyberverse anyway. So there he is with his Legends class counterpart. But there is Siege Leader Shockwave. Just a real quick update here on the end, because I was mentioning earlier you could get the hose to here or here, which was a little bit of an extreme stretch. Now the official way to transform the arms is to rotate them here so that this port is facing inside. You can kind of see I've done it on this arm. And when you have them both facing in, that fills in this gap. If you don't mind it being a little gappy, you can leave this arm rotated out so the peg hole's there, and then you can have it connect in a way that looks more Shockwave gunny. But like I said, then from the side it doesn't look too bad, but it does leave a little bit more of a gap than having it rotated in would. So yeah, just an option. Saw somebody post a picture of it with the hose here, and I'm like, how did they do that? Because those end up on the inside, but there you go. That's how it happens. I guess you can maybe even rotate it this way a little bit. Well, maybe not. But yeah, so if you don't mind having a little bit of a gap there, you can get it to work in a way that the hose can attach. Although I don't know how. Yeah, and there's enough leeway here for the tip of the gun, so even though this is kind of going in sideways, it's not messing up the hinges or anything like that. So if you want it, again, he is still a little too small for a laser gun, at least for an adult, but there's an option for you. So I just want to make sure that got in there, lest I forget, since I was still working on the video.